Hey everyone, Nathan Nerdark here from Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds, and today I've got
Ted?
with me, and we're going to be discussing Nerdcraft.
Woohoo!
Yeah, and this edition of Nerdcraft is an intro on metalworking, but specifically pewter work,
Right.
because due to our previous metalworking experiences, Ted, you've done some black.
I have done blacksmithing. It's not
Yeah.
a huge amount, but I have sat in front of the forge. I've brought that hammer down, and
Bring that
man,
hammer
that's
down.
a lot of work.
Yeah, and after you do about 100 hours of blacksmithing, it's still a lot of work, speaking from experience. So, but one of the cool things I liked about it was building your own tools. And we can get into that kind of stuff, but what we're going to get in today is something that requires a lot less, first off, material starting costs. The actual metal is cheap. Second, we got all this, I got all this stuff at the thrift store, including the ingot casting trays.
Ingot casting, what is that?
Oh yeah, well, yeah. So an ingot is basically a section of metal that you specifically melt, let solidify in a mold, and set aside so that you can easily just say, well, I need about 5 or 6 ingots worth. Mm-hmm. And you kind of know what the weight of your ingots are, and you can say, all right, well, I'll just grab 5. Rather than sit there and melt and weigh out your metal and do all these calculations, you just go, oh, well, 5 of these worked last time. I'll do 5 this time.
You had said that you wanted to start with pewter because pewter has a low melting point.
Yes, a very low melting point compared to a lot of the other metals that we used to mess around with, like steel or brass or copper,
There's, for your
or even silver.
For you RPers out there, you've all heard the tale or seen people literally forging in the flames, and not all of that is absolutely necessary, and that's one of the things that we wanted to actually bring to you guys. There is most of what you see here is pewter. This is actually aluminum, and we can talk more about how you can tell the difference. But a lot of the stuff that's pewter will actually say pewter on the bottom.
Oh yeah,
and you can literally in a scrap pan melt this on your stovetop or on a grill, and you'll just see it liquefy right before your eyes, and you pour it from your pan into the tray and be able to make your ingots that way. And once you have them sized properly, they're so much easier, as Nate says, to just grab the assortment you need to be able to make whatever it is that you're going to make.
Yeah, and we'll do full cast ingots for this little tiny, single serving muffins, bite-sized muffin tray.
So now for this the tray is aluminum.
Yes.
Correct. So therefore,
it's got twice the melting point that pewter has.
So therefore, you can melt pewter and put it into aluminum, and it's not going to stick. It's not going to melt the aluminum. So you're safe there, right?
Yeah, the trick is with metalworking, especially with pewter, it's easy because everything you use pretty much has a higher melting point than the pewter does. So the trays that you use just for baking corn muffins has a higher melting point than it, and the stovetop stuff that you use, again, because the temperatures on a stovetop can get high enough to melt pewter. Now, it's going to be the hottest thing you've ever cooked on a stovetop, and you spill it, and it's not on me what happens to the stove if you spill a whole bunch of pewter over it. So, that's why we're going to be doing it outside on the grill, because the grill is way easier to clean up, and no one's going to get mad at us if it gets a little pewter on it. We can just pop it right off later.
So, with our usual Nerdcraft videos, especially with our intro, this is our intro to smelting or metalcraft, or however you want to look at it. What do you want to do? Because of the two of us, you're far more experienced than I am. What do you want to do? What do you want to share with our viewers out there with metalcraft?
Well, I would say I really enjoy metalcraft and metalworking, and I have enough experience in enough different types of metalwork that I'm just going to say what I have done, and then people can decide what they want to see. That way they make the decisions for me.
Okay.
So I've done jewelry and metalworking and gold, silver, and platinum, copper and brass, and lighter and baser metals. I've done casting and all of those except platinum, because it's too stinking expensive. And it's tough to cast and get a nice cast, especially in a student studio. So I've had about 30 plus credits of metalworking classes, as well as doing a whole lot of stuff and having a metalworking business on on the side back in the day, about a decade ago or so. So I've done everything from setting stones to engraving to etching to taking a block and shaping it into a ring, or casting the ring based off of a lost wax cast. So there's a whole bunch of stuff just with jewelry, and then I've done blacksmithing and metalworking on the forge. So that's another thing that we can get into at some point, like making an axe head and making the handle for it or something. That's just like a suggestion I think would be doable, even if you only had like a grinding wheel and an acetylene torch or something.
Yeah, because everybody's got that just lying around.
Hey, you buy what you like to do. So I've got like 2 of those things lying around. So we figured we'll start with something that most people either can afford to get into or can already have lying around, like Dennett candlesticks and vases nobody wants that are made out of pewter, beat up bowls.
So I know, part of the thing that inspired me to, seriously get into, this whole aspect. I had saw a video. I believe the guy's name was King of Random. He actually, shows how to do a whole bunch of different stuff. I watched a video about, making a forge, and he actually melted down a kid's toy and made a metal one totally out of aluminum cans. So once we actually move into aluminum, we can kind of go through some of that stuff as well.
And we can get into creating the forge. I already have a good flower pot forge.
Okay.
Which is how you camouflage your little aluminum foundry when it's not in use. Right. Got it from a brass lamp. So I think it'll work out.
All right, so based on what what Nate and I have said, what is it that you want to see us do on Nerdcraft metalworking? Put it in the comments below. While you're doing that, feel free to click like, share, even subscribe.
And you can check out the Nerdcraft articles on nerdarchy.com.
So until next time, stay nerdy.